What's up, guys? Welcome to the Tranquil Living Uruguay podcast. I'm Vanessa, your host. In this episode, I'll share a little insight into what it's like living in the Uruguayan countryside, from friendly neighbors to funny cow stories. This one in particular is an ode to my fabulous neighbors, and I thank you for making Uruguay feel like home. So let's get into it. We found our farmhouse via a real estate company publication online. We liked the area that it was in because it was in a rural area on a main road, close enough to Montevideo, about 30 to 40 minutes drive into the city. And living far away from family and close or childhood friends can be hard sometimes. And because of that, I've really come to appreciate my Uruguayan neighbors so much. It may be an anomaly, but we got really lucky with amazing neighbors. Being in the countryside, they are close enough to where I can walk over to their house, but far enough to where I can't hear or see them or their houses from where we're situated. And upon moving in, there was already a group WhatsApp chat set up for the neighbors. Go figure, WhatsApp. And they let me join it when we moved in. And from the get go, they were so welcoming and offered help to us in whatever capacity. And coming back to the WhatsApp group chat, it's been really helpful for many reasons. For example, if the power goes out, not that it happens very often, but sometimes UTE, which is the name of the power company, they have work occasionally being done on the power lines. Or a storm comes through and there's damage to a transformer or some random outage, etc. We all notify or like ask each other immediately if the power is out. And then when we all confirm, we all file a complaint with the power company, UTE. And same thing for the water. We've had a situation, it's happened twice, where the water pressure got changed from OSE. OSE is the water company, which that affected our water heaters. And a couple of us who didn't have a working regulator on our water meter had like a mini flood incident, which was not fun. But thank goodness we were home at the time when it had happened, and we were able to shut off the water and get the water pressure fixed. So this WhatsApp group has been kind of like a lifesaver in that sense, where we can kind of check up on each other. I've in the US, I never had a WhatsApp group with my neighbors. I barely even knew my neighbors, to be honest. I mean, maybe my neighbors would say hi, bye, but I, I don't know. It's just different here, which is different in a better way, I think. Another way, like my neighbors have been super helpful, is a few months ago when we had a pretty rainy week. We actually got our car stuck in the mud in an area of our property where it was impossible to get a tow truck in. And it was during the day. I was pressed for time for having to go pick up my daughter from school. And my husband and I, we tried all we could to get our car out with no luck. And finally, I called one of our neighbors who works construction. And because it was raining, he was fortunately home from work that day. So I called him, I told him what was going on, and he came over immediately to check out the situation. He ran back home, loaded up his truck with like a big mound, like a big pile of rocks. They call it pedregullo here. And he came back with a shovel in hand and he just laid down, shoveled rocks like behind and in front of the tires of the car. And then little by little, like inch by inch, we finally were able to get our car out with just enough time to spare for me to go pick up my kid from school. And it was horrible weather outside. It was like this gross, misty rain. We were all getting wet outside trying to get this car out. Yeah, and he just absolutely saved the day, to be honest. During the whole process, he said that if we couldn't get it out in time, that he would drive me to the school and go pick her up. But luckily, we were able to get it out in time. So that's one neighbor. My other neighbor, she is my next door neighbor. She's a cattle rancher and she's been raising cows for 40 plus years. And just yesterday, she told me that she was recognized by the Ministry of Agriculture here in Uruguay that and was given an award for the best cattle rancher in all of Uruguay for her process of natural rotational grazing. And it's just such an amazing and prestigious honor. Mind you, she's 84 years old, and she was jokingly telling me how she just thinks they gave her the award because of her age. But as I've gotten to know her, this woman impresses me on so many levels. I could really do just a whole podcast on her alone. And the neat thing about her is that we actually have an agreement with her along with our other surrounding neighbors. Since she does rotational grazing, she partitions off our property throughout the year. So throughout the year, we have had her cows grazing on her property, and we love having them because they're just so fun. Who knew they would just be so relaxing? Literally, we go up to the fence and just spend hours watching them. They're very curious animals, and they come up to you at the fence if they hear you, or if they hear us outside, they get really close to kind of see what's going on. It's really cute. And at this point, at least three baby cows have been born on our property, which is so cool. There have also been times where somehow, I don't know if it's because the electric fence kind of failed or somehow a cow got through. But there has been like a couple of instances where they have ended up like in our soccer field area or grazing near, the kids' play set. And we're like, oh my gosh, there's a cow in our yard. And so if like my husband isn't able to kind of like corral it back to the area it's supposed to be in, we just kind of give her a call and then just let her know that a cow's on the loose. She'll come over and get them back to the rest of the pack. So another funny cow story. After about a year or so of us moving in, um, we had the local cops kind of like knock on our door. They rang our doorbell at our gate, and it was the first time we've ever had cops come over. So we're kind of like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? So I walked down there, and then they advised us that a neighbor, like 4 properties down from our house, had 4 of his cows stolen the night before. And I was like taken aback because like first of all, I didn't know what these cops were gonna say. And then what they said, I was just like, I've never had cops ever tell me that before. I've always lived in a city, never in like country rural farm area. Um, and so first time I'm dealing with the cops in this manner, and they were asking if we had any security video footage, possibly from the back of our back part of our house and like the back part of our property, because like stealing cows is a huge crime here in Uruguay. I don't exactly know the repercussions or exact charges for stealing cows, but I know it's really bad if you get caught. So the robbers had entered through the property behind ours, which is actually a vineyard, and they had crossed through that property and like 2 other properties to get to this guy's house and steal his 4 young female cows. And through the process, we could see like the trucks tracks. We saw where they had cut fencing to get through. So it was definitely, obviously, someone who knew this neighbor and the 4 cows that they had. To my knowledge, I don't think those cows are ever found, unfortunately. But because of this whole ordeal, is how we met that neighbor. And he's an interesting one. He's really funny. His property is it's a full-fledged farm with tons of animals. He has ducks, pigs, peacocks, turkeys, like he's like exotic chickens, horses, sheep, and he had the 4 cows that had unfortunately, was stolen from him. But this guy has his property as like a weekend home and like vacation home. And so the first time we met him was through the whole stolen cow ordeal. But then we actually got to know him a little bit better because unfortunately our one of our dogs was tempted and he had, got trapped in like this like fox trap that this guy has. I don't know. He basically has like a rack of ribs, like meat, and our dog somehow made it to his property, found it, and got trapped. Because our dog was caught there, he like notified the neighbors and we're like, oh yeah, that's our dog. So we went over to go get him, and he was so welcoming, and because has all these animals, he was so excited to show our daughter all the different animals, like the horses, geese, peacocks, and she even like was able to ride his horse. It was just really cute. So the neighbors are pretty cool. One of my other neighbors, she's like in her young mid 20s when we first moved in. She's now turning 30 in like a few days. But when we first moved to our house, I was a stay-at-home mom raising my daughter with no family, no, good help around. And we were new here and trying to get our footing while I was also dealing with transitioning into becoming a stay-at-home mom from having a career. So it took about 6 months to like a year before we'd actually gotten to like really know, um, our neighbor, this young 20-year-old girl across the street very well. And soon after my daughter turned 2, I knew I needed help. I like really needed help for at least like 2 to 3 hours here and there, like once, twice a week, to get some like personal stuff done around the house, or to get on an errand, or even just to take the time for me during the day to exercise, work out, or do something fun and solo for myself without child. So she started babysitting us for a couple of times a week, which was really helpful. And it was so nice to find someone who was good with kids, because she was studying at the time, she was studying to be a teacher, and she lived right across the street from us. Um, so that worked out really well. We're still like, really, even though my daughter's in school now, like we're still really good friends. But her her work ethic wasn't top notch. There's a couple days you'd, call in sick, but when I really, really needed her, she was always there, and she's always still there. She comes over for all the birthday parties, and we invite her over for holidays. She enjoys learning about like American traditions and tasting American style food. So she's a good person. And then she has a sister who is about a year younger. And whenever we need to travel or go to town, it gets a little bit complicated when you live on a farm and you have lots of animals. Um, if you don't know, if I mentioned it before, but we have like 2 dogs, 2 cats, chickens. We have 8 chickens, and we need help with, the chickens and the cats while we're away. The dogs, we usually put them in, when we're gone for an extended period of time, we put them in like a rural doggy hotel where they have like their own yard to play and stay in. But this neighbor also helps us with like the farm chores of like feeding and changing out the water for all of our pets. And they're so sweet. And so if so out of the sisters, if one can't do it, the other one will. And they always tell me not to pay them for helping us out with these chores, but I always go ahead and pay them a good like daily rate for like an hour's worth, which comes out to about like $8 to $10 a day. And it's also good because they help keep an eye like on our house and the property, in addition to the animals while we're gone. They've been such a great help in that aspect too. And our neighbors are just so special because like they say, you need a village. So they've become like our Uruguayan family. They've seen our daughter grow up before their eyes, just, like us. She was a year and a half when we arrived, and now she's 6. And um, for any emergency, like I know I can rely on a prompt response or a recommendation to whether it's, can you recommend a good vet? Um, where can I buy chicken feed? Or even just like looking out for each other's pets and like dogs and cats. If one goes missing, hey, have you seen, so and so around? Um, so we've had actually, I think I don't know if we just got lucky or or just in general Uruguayans are pretty helpful. Well, I hope that this gives you a little insight into some of the neighborly love we've experienced since living here in Uruguay for the last 5 years. As the years go on, it feels more and more like home, which is really nice. So, life abroad doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be tranquil. So thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more of this content, please like, subscribe, send in your comments, questions. I read them all. Cheers.